Okay, we are here live with the producer of I Adore My 64, the film, Jeff Schaap. So please welcome Jeff to the show. So I'll let you sort of do a little bit more of an introduction of yourself. So yeah, go ahead.
Sure, thank you. My like you said, my name is Jeff Schaap. I live here in Orlando, Florida, and have lived here for about the past 10 years. And I'm a career filmmaker. I work for different nonprofits and secular organizations, creating films for them. But this is really my first project on my own, sort of independent, self-funded thing. And so, yeah, I'm really excited about that. Sort of the inception of it was I grew up with the Commodore 64, spent a lot of time with it from like 10 years old on, and really sort of left off the community about the same time as everybody else, maybe like 91, 92. But Commodore was always still in my life. When I was in college, and I was headed towards filmmaking studies. I used a Amiga video toaster, so that was a part of my life then. And then at my first job, I continued to use a video toaster. So it's like Commodore has always like sort of been there in my background, whether I planned on that or not. So it's kind of awesome. And then probably about maybe 2017, 2018, I stumbled across a video on YouTube. It was like late at night one night. I was taking care of my newborn daughter, and there was this guy who some people might know. His name's Dan Wood, and he runs the Retro Hour podcast. And he had a video about, oh, this is how you can connect your Commodore 64 to the internet. And that kind of like reignited my interest in it. And I thought, oh, I'll just get one. I'll just go out and buy a Commodore 64 on eBay just to have one, and to goof around with. Well, now you can't see, but behind me, I have probably like 30 on my shelf. So it really took me down the rabbit hole. And I started to think about, like, I'm not a programmer, for sure. I'm not somebody smart enough to understand assembly language or probably any programming language. And I'm not a hardware developer, and I thought, how can I contribute to this community? I was sort of shocked to discover, the global community that is into the Commodore 64 and other Commodore computers, but particularly, the Commodore 64. And as I was growing up, I didn't really have a sense of that because there was no internet. I just kind of knew my own microcosm, and some of my friends had them, and we enjoyed trading games and playing them together and talking together about them. But I didn't realize, like, I don't think probably anybody did at the time, what a global phenomenon the computer would turn out to be. And the massive amount of sales that it would have. It's still officially the best-selling single model home computer of all time. And that's just amazing when you think about that all this time later. But I started thinking about, like, oh, I'm not a hardware developer, I'm not a programmer, but I'm a filmmaker, and like, how can I contribute and give back to this community and be a part of it? And I think that's what really started to kick off the inception of this film. So probably started thinking about it, started developing it in 2018, and been like pretty actively working on it for the past 3 years. And then finally, just this past month, we've launched a 30-day campaign to hopefully get it funded and get it off the ground. We shot sort of some preliminary interviews. We with some interviewees, and I understand that 10-minute preview is being shown there on the floor. So yeah, definitely check it out. But we had a lot of fun doing that. But that was all self-funded. So I've kind of reached the limit of what I'm able to do on my own Steam. And so, hoping that the global Commodore 64 / Commodore community will get behind it, and like we'll see it come to fruition. But yeah, definitely grew up as a Commodore kid and spent many happy hours, me and some of my brothers and my friends, just enjoying life on the Commodore 64.
Yep, yep. So one of the things that I saw, I'm not sure if it was on your website or read something where um, you wanted to do a film about Commodore, but
Mhm.
not about not about the necessarily the nostalgia aspect of it as it was, but
Mhm.
where it's become uh, mainstream now. And when I say mainstream, we're putting on shows like this every year, and we have plenty of people because there's products being produced right now for the Commodore 64. So you wanted to sort of show some of that as well in the film, rather than just dwell on the past, but what's
Yeah.
new as well. Is that right?
Yeah, that's 100% correct. So I think, there are quite a lot of YouTube videos, even documentaries out there about in books, and there's really no end to sort of biographical information about Commodore, the company, and the major figures within it. And a lot of the major figures have been interviewed, even Jack Tramiel and Leonard, his son, and a lot of the other major figures that are still active in the scene. And that's great. That's awesome. That's not to tear down any of those efforts. I think that's great, and it's so amazing that is available and out there. But as I got back into the Commodore community in 2018, 2017, and like I said, I was so shocked by just the massive group of people around the world that are still dedicated to keeping the platform alive, developing new hardware, developing new games. There's new games coming out all the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Um, and I really wanted to shine a light on that because that was my experience. Like, of course, the history is important, and the people who made it happen are integral. But it's the film is sort of meant to be an invitation to get the word out there that, like, hey, there's this community, and if you ever love the 64, or if you think you might, like, come and be a part of it, and look at all of these people who are collectors, preservationists, people are developing software, people are developing hardware. There's just all sorts of demo scene gathering parties, and people who have huge collections. People who are making a career on YouTube out of talking about how to repair them, and
Yeah.
it's amazing. It's amazing to me, and I just wanted to be able to trumpet that and share that, because I think, I have a Commodore 64 shirt, a couple of them that I wear around, and virtually anywhere I go, whether it's here where I live, or if I'm somewhere else, if I'm wearing a shirt that says something about Commodore on it, people inevitably stop me and are like,
Oh yeah.
"Hey, is that computer from the 80s? Like, I had one of those, or my friend had one of those," and then the stories start pouring out.
Yeah. For
And
sure.
one of the other things that the film is intended to sort of address is sort of the, I don't know what you call it, whitewashing, or uh, incorrect history
Okay.
of the home computer revolution. Because I think, if you approach anybody today over 35 and you ask them, what were the computers that really impacted the home computer revolution, when people could, like, have a computer at home, they're going to say IBM, probably, or they're going to say Apple. And it's
Sure.
not that is not true, but
Right.
arguably the Commodore 64 has had a much greater impact, and had you know, there's so many stories I could tell that I've heard from interviewees about how Apple probably would not even have existed without some of the people from Commodore
Very true.
helping them.
Very true.
So, and just the sheer number of sales of the 64 in particular, but other
Yeah.
Commodore machines as well. I don't feel like Commodore really gets its due, and the 64 in particular really, uh, it's overlooked, it's forgotten, and I think that's something that I hope the film helps people to become more educated on, is that the 64 was a phenomenon,
Yeah.
and it deserves that right in history.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, when you say it's getting a little bit lost, I'm not. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure if I would say it's lost, and I'm not disagreeing with you, but what I'm saying is that okay, we've got a World of Commodore run by TPUG.
Mm-hmm.
We've got World of Retro Computing here, running for
Mm-hmm.
3 years now, and it's pretty much Commodore based. Uh,
Mm.
one of my well, actually my platinum sponsor for the show this year, Retro Rewind,
Oh
they
yeah.
they specifically repair Commodore machines. So and that's their business.
Oh
So
yeah.
if people can make a business repairing products that were whatever 40 years ago,
Yeah.
they're still running. So yeah, I'm not disagreeing with your loss.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just that it's just I know what you're saying. You want to
I,
keep it alive. We love it. We all love it. That's why
yeah.
we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another interesting thing is when people are walking through the show, a funny story. So I have a Square reader, which is a payment device,
Yeah.
and I was accepting a payment for something at the show here. It was at the beginning of the day, and the reader said it wanted an update. So I'm standing here. I'm very pleased that the person was patient with me. They know, but I'm thinking, okay, like I said, you know what, go around, and when this is updated, then I'll come and find you. But the Commodore 64 only has one operating system, has never had an upgrade. You don't have to wait. You turn it up. I will. So I was I was just told that the audience cannot hear me, so I got to turn my mic on. Thank you for mentioning that. So what I was saying on that one is just a little bit. I was trying to use some technology that wanted to be updated in a pivotal transaction that I needed to do here at the show. And on the other hand, you got Commodore 64, which has never had an operating system upgrade, or you're not waiting for 6 GB before you can play a game. You turn it on, you do what you want to do, and that's it. That's one of the beauties of the Commodore 64 that I really appreciate.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that. Periodically I'll release sort of like, little ads I've created about the film, and I'll drop them into some of the more popular Commodore Facebook groups. And one of the ads I created, and it was really, just sort of a tongue-in-cheek joke, was that, um, you know, uh, after all this time, the Commodore 64 still boots faster than PS5. And
Oh,
man, that got some people upset.
yeah,
But it's true. Of course, the
it's true.
capabilities are not the same. But yeah, it was different, and the approach was different. And it is, there were minor revisions to some of the ROMs, in different versions of the 64. But yeah, it's amazing that it's remained relatively unchanged. It remained relatively unchanged for the roughly 10 years that it was sold, and they just kept pumping them out because they were selling so well. But yeah, its longevity is pretty amazing.
So back to your movie. Um, so what you said that you funded the trailer. There's like four specific interviews that you've released in the trailer.
Yeah.
So what from this point on? I'm not talking about like your funding, but
Yeah.
once you get the funding, what's the next step for you as a filmmaker to make this a reality?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So even before the funding campaign took off, because like I said, it's been like a 3-year process of like building up interest about the film, interacting with different groups online, and just earning sort of the right to interview some of these people for the film. And um, as time has gone on, and we've continued on that trajectory of the goal of being funded and continuing to develop the film, we've continued to reach out to new people who could be possibly be interviewees in the film. And because it's not under wraps, but the discussions are not solidified in every case, I can't really discuss who else we may interview, but I can tell you that many of them are easily recognized names within the Commodore 64 community who have agreed to come on and be interviewed if funded, and we're excited about that. And I was really encouraged even at the beginning that some of the people who they don't know me from Adam. I can show them some of the things I've done, and yet they don't know me, and so it's a risk for them to take time out of their schedule, and some of them are very busy. David Murray, the 8-bit guy, appears in the preview, and I contacted him, and I thought 90% chances are this is going to be a no, but I have to try, because he is a major, not everything he does is Commodore related, but he's a major figure within the community, and he has contributed quite a lot. And I was shocked to like get a reply almost right away. He's like, yeah, I want to support an effort like that. That's great. Like, let's set something up. So I've been really, I shouldn't be, but I've just been really shocked and floored by people's willingness to participate and sort of, trust us and trust our ability to represent them in their story well. So we're excited about what we've already captured, and of course, what's in the preview is like a tiny fraction
Right.
of what we actually got from those guys. And yeah, you mentioned T-Pug, which is a great group of guys up there. Just I can't say enough about like how kind they've been, and they've also helped to just promote the film. One guy in particular is just gone above and beyond, worked really hard to get the word out there, and there's nothing in it for him other than like he'd really like to help see it happen. And Leif Bloomquist, who's been involved in leadership of the group, gave an interview, and like just everybody's been really kind. And I think that's another thing that I just appreciate about the 64 community globally is like there's this real spirit of like, hey, people help me and I want to help you. Like there, people are always open to answering hardware questions, software questions, any questions, and that's great. I'm happy to be a part of something that is like that.
Yeah, you know what? I think you're gonna find that as you go on as you're filming. Yeah, I haven't met anyone of those of those say celebrities where, like you said, you don't know.
Yeah.
You ask them, and then you're like floored because you get a message very soon after, and like, oh hey, how's it going? So it's almost like you've been friends with them and stuff, and that's what this community is all about. It's really neat. It's a really neat community, and I'm certainly glad that you're doing something like this. It's a pretty fantastic project. It so as for your funding, that part of it, how do people go about doing that? Like, I mean, we've got the trailer showing
Yeah.
here. So, but yeah, you tell us.
Yeah, so the platform that we're using to fund the film is called Seed and Spark. But probably the easiest way to find it is just to go to the website that's scrolling across the bottom of the screen, and it's in the other side, in the background back there. Because if you go to our website, you're going to find the link for the campaign instantly. So, and then if you go to the website too, you can sort of see, more details about the film. And there's a blog on there for those that might be interested to sort of see the history going all the way back to like 2020 of like the journey we've been through to get to this point. And there's some other stuff on there too, like we're auctioning off an Evo 64 board right now as part of the fundraising for the film, and there's another promotion going on for C64 direct to TV. And so yeah, the website is probably the best place to go. I could give you the campaign URL, but no, probably no one would remember it. I think it is scrolling across the bottom of the the preview, so you could get it there. But if you can't remember that, then iadoremy64film.com is where you want to be.
Okay, well, I was gonna ask you, what was your first camera that you used in film production?
Oh
Like
man.
not professionally, but like say as a kid.
As a kid.
Did you like go around with a video camera? Like, did you dream that okay, I am going to be producing a film someday?
Oh man, it's kind of embarrassing to talk about, but like there was some intersection between the Commodore 64 and some of my early like filmmaking efforts. So one of the things I would be into is like I would play music on, a boombox I had, and then I would program things in BASIC, to make things happen in time with the music, and then like record that to VHS tapes. So that was probably my idea of creating a music video, when I was, I don't know, 12 or 13 or whatever, using my Commodore 64. And we definitely had a video camera growing up, and my brothers and I mean, even before the video camera, though, my oldest brother and I used to take Super 8 film, which is a film camera, and it had a stop motion mode. So you could click one frame at a time, and make stop motion films. And we would take like Star Wars figures and stuff, stormtroopers and Darth Vader, and like walk them around and, make different scenes and make, movies with the stuff, and then show them on our 8mm projector in our home. And like, we thought that was great fun. And I think that's what probably first ignited my interest in it. And then later when my family got I can still picture it, this old, old now, but VHS-C camcorder. And we used to just run around and shoot stuff with that. We did an awful lot of like blowing up Lego cars with firecrackers. But we did other like skits and drama and things like just for fun. We like, the crazy thing is we as a family will still watch some of that stuff today, and it still cracks us up, and we love it. So yeah, great memories. But I probably didn't really become serious about filmmaking as a career until college. And it was probably after my first year. I had gone to college to be a music major, and I just didn't feel like it was a fit. And through some circumstances, I got involved with somebody's communications project, and I saw everything they were doing. I saw they had an Amiga 2000 with a video toaster, and I'm like, oh, just like attracted to it. And I'm like, this is it. And I got into it, and it was just like somebody flipped the light switch on, and they had to like kick me out of the studio a lot because I would spend so much time in there. They'd be like, hey, other students have projects. I really got into Lightwave, which is the 3D program associated with the toaster. And like I said, in my first job, I used a video toaster, and it was still tape-based editing back then, and it had an edit control software called AmiLink, which I bet nobody has ever even heard of. But it was a software that you use to control decks and edit from videotapes. And so it was like the whole system was controlled by an Amiga 2000. And to get, people don't always realize, like in that day, to get equipment that would do all that, it would be $80,000-$100,000. And the Amiga for sub 15 could do all of that. So it was just a total, it's kind of like what happened for desktop publishing when what you see is what you get. Interfaces came out, all of a sudden everybody had access to desktop publishing, and that's really what the video toaster did for video editing. It just exploded. It made it so much more accessible, and that's right at the era that I got involved with it. Of course, I don't edit on a video. Somebody asked me in another forum, are you going to edit it on the video toaster? Like, well, that would be awesome, but probably would not come out for 20 years if I did that. So yeah, I'm sorry, I've gotten way off track, but yeah, that was some of my first filmmaking experiences.
Okay. Now, I know we talked just before we came live. You graciously said that you are open to some questions from the
Oh
audience.
yeah,
So
definitely.
maybe we'll open that up, see if anyone has a question for you. And so I'm going to pass them the mic or get them to come
Okay,
up.
great. Perfect. Love to.
Any questions for Jeff at all? Please. Brian, you got a question? Oh, come on. Someone. All right. Well, come up with a question. Come on. Come up with a question, please. All right. They're starstruck. That's what it is. They are starstruck. So you have another appearance coming up with T-Pug this Thursday, September 21st.
That's right.
7:30 p.m.
Yeah.
That's that is in Toronto. So they're actually having their in-person meeting.
Mhm.
You're obviously you're remote to them, but they also stream. So yeah, I mean, anyone watching this right now, please head over to T-Pug on Thursday and check out Jeff again.
Yeah. I just want to say too, again, like T-Pug is another great group, and they're an awesome group of guys over there. And there's Commodore people, there's 64. I mean, they're all Commodore people, but what I meant to say is some of them are into the 64, some of them are into pets, some of them are into everything. And also there's another show that I'm going to do on Monday at 5:30 EST, which is with Scene World, which they've got people all over the world pretty much, but I think the lead guy is in Germany. So yeah, they're another great group of people that have done a lot for the community. So yeah, check them out if you get a chance.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for joining World of Retro Computing Expo
Yeah.
2023. I've had a good time listening to you, and I encourage anyone that is watching this or will watch this, get out there, fund the project. It's fun. Check out the trailer. It's really neat. It's a great idea. I know you're gonna. You'll be funded. It's good, but we got to help you out. So
Thank you. I appreciate that. And it looks like a great event there, and I wish I could be there, but awesome that you guys are doing that and going to all that work to help keep retro computing alive.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Jeff. I appreciate the time. And
yeah, likewise.
Yeah. Have a great day.
Thanks. You too.
We'll talk again.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye, Jeff. Okay. Thank you very much for that. I told him it was just going to be a chat. I didn't really have anything specific for him, but I mean, that was pretty cool, right? Yeah. Thank you very much. And thanks for letting me know about the microphone problem. Yeah, I forgot. So tomorrow, if any of you guys are around tomorrow, 2 o'clock is the Bill Hurd, Dave Haney, and Jerry Ellsworth chat. Maybe same format, just kind of fireside chat. So thanks for watching, guys. And I'll use the microphone. And I'll use the microphone.